Everybody, welcome back to another edition of the Fantasy Football Expo podcast series. As always, I'm Bob Lung from the Fantasy Football Expo. This gentleman beside me is Jeremy Timperio from Dynasty Daddy. Jeremy, welcome to the show. Nice to have you. You're a rookie. You're coming in fresh this year to the Expo and we'll talk a little bit more about you and the Dynasty Daddy. But how are you doing? Tell people a little bit about you, where you're from, that kind of stuff, and then we'll kind of get more into the football history of you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Bob. I'm excited to be on the show and excited for the expo as well. I'm from Charlotte. I grew up here. I was technically born in Boston, but I moved to Charlotte when I was like 1 year old. So pretty much just grew up in Charlotte, went to college in Raleigh, and then moved back down to Charlotte. So most of my life I've been here. And I work as a software engineer on the side, or as my full-time job. So kind of, lines up perfectly with what I do for the fantasy community.
Love that. You're wearing a Knicks shirt. We had a discussion. It's kind of a joke why you had that on. That's fine. We won't get into that, but it cracks me up to have. I have my Scott Fishbowl from from going to England last year and drafting in the live Scott Fishbowl. So sometimes I wear Scott Fish, sometimes I wear Expo, but definitely love that. As you said, you're a Panthers fan, obviously, in football. So let's talk about, fantasy football. That's why we're all here. That's why we're all meeting in Canton here in just little over a couple months. It's just mind-boggling that we're like almost 2 months away from this thing. But talk about your history, Jeremy, and how you got started in fantasy football. What year was it? Who got you involved? How it all went down that you entered this wonderful world of fantasy football?
Yeah, I started a long time ago for me. It was like in 6th, 7th grade.
You did start early. Okay.
Yeah, it was like we had like a homeroom class at the end of the day. And I was like, okay, I want something interesting, but like and they had like a little fantasy football class where we would have to calculate all the scoring every week and go through it. So that's kind of where I got introduced to it. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like, because I would watch football I would always watch the Panthers and, some primetime games. But now I was like, okay, like it helped me learn a lot on different teams, different players on different teams. I would play like Madden and such too. But
sure.
So that's kind of where I got my first introduction. And then after that, I would just kind of join random like NFL.com leagues with like a bunch of randoms. And, they weren't challenging at all because, everyone would draft and leave. But I would just kind of do that every once in a while. And then, maybe a friend league here or there. It's always hard to coordinate like 10 to 12 people. So I was like, okay, like I'll just join NFL.com. But that's kind of how I got really introduced to the game. And then it was in college where I started learning about Dynasty, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. For me, I was just like the convenience of it, of just not having to text all my friends and try to get it coordinated. Like I was like, every year it just automatically has everything set up. Yep. I was like, that sounds great. Like, and then being able to just do it like a GM tool, like, like play Dynasty mode and like Madden, to me, it sounded really fun. So I was like, okay, that'd be really cool to do. And I took over an orphan in like some free league in college, and I just got hooked to that. So then after that, it's been wheels up.
Love it. So talk about then how that passion, that love for the Dynasty world turned into your site now, and what you'll be coming to the Expo to promote, and that is the Dynasty Daddy. Talk a little bit about the site, how it came about, what's unique about it, what's fun about it, all that kind of good stuff that people will be intrigued, not only at the Expo, but before the Expo when everybody's watching this video here in the next few weeks.
Yeah. So a big part of this was like football's cool, so I was like, okay, like I always was like wanting to do something with football. I thought that would be fun. And I was starting a new job, and I was like, okay, I need to learn for my technical skills. I need to get familiar with some new technology. I was like, okay, like let me just try to come up with something fantasy football related and just do it as kind of like a side project where I can learn this technology. And then I just kept putting more and more time into it. And eventually it became a site that people started, gravitating towards it. People started using, and then, I started posting. I posted on Reddit, and then a bunch of people started using it. And I was like, okay, maybe there's something more here than just me learning one small technology. So it's become this giant project of mine for the past like year and a half to 2 years. That just started as me trying to learn a new technology for my job, and now it's become a thing where it's like, oh, like now I do want to go to like the Fantasy Football Expo and get it in front of people that might not have heard of my product, and kind of get new people to understand what I'm going for here, and excited to use it.
We'll talk a little bit more about what it does, what makes it unique, what is interesting. I mean, I play in a couple Dynasty leagues, so I'm intrigued. You had me at Dynasty. Well, you had me at Fantasy Football, really. But
yeah.
I'm always looking for that edge, right? Like, so I write about, the importance of consistency. I put out my consistency guide. That's my unique thing that I'm sharing with the world, and people use that and help them gain an edge. What on your site on Dynasty Daddy is going to give people that edge that they may not get at other Dynasty sites?
Yeah, I mean, I think a big thing is I always am focusing on trying to deliver value to the people using my site. So kind of what I focus on is league integrations and managing a large portfolio of leagues, but even smaller, like even if you have 3 leagues, it's still extremely useful. So like that was something when I first did my first Dynasty league, it was some flea flicker league. I would have like 15 tabs open doing research and going through everything. I was like, this is obnoxious. Like I don't need all these tabs. Like give me the information that gets me to making actions in my league the quickest.
Right.
So that's kind of where I dove into and got inspired to make this site. Big things for my site is like, obviously I have a popular trade calculator. I have the power rankings tool. I see it everywhere now. It's cool seeing people having conversations around that. There's season simulators, there's trade databases. You can look over historical values, player pages. I mean, basically whatever you want, you can do your own mock drafts. You can do almost anything you want on there. I mean, I'm constantly adding new stuff every week. I push something new today. I mean, it's just every day there's something new coming out. It's kind of scratches that creative itch I have. So that's a big part of it. And there's also a side part of, last summer I was the first NFL immaculate grid style game. So then that kind of jump started a giant trivia wave of football-based trivia games. So now I have 3 of those, and I have daily trivia. So those update every day as well. So kind of have those 2 user bases of people that are like super passionate about fantasy football, which, there's definitely a lot of people using it right now, but it is like into May, early June. So there's less fantasy.
Kind of key time. I mean, I'm certainly in 2 weeks, I'm having my 2 rookie drafts down in Columbus. So, I've already got in here. I've already got your site up. It looks like you sync your site data. So like I have those 2 leagues are in my MFL or my fantasy league. So I'll be able to sync those in and find out all the good information from your site. It's going to help me make some good decisions, make some trades maybe. I'm kind of I do it, I think there's 2 dynasties. There's the dynasties that are all about the future, and there's dynasties all about the now, and then there's in betweens. I'm all about the now.
Okay.
So like I'll trade picks away to get a couple of veterans because I feel like, hey, my team's good enough. 2 veterans can make the difference. And well, screw the future.
Yeah, no.
And some people are the opposite. Some will just trade forever and always have second and third year people, and they're always playing for the future. And I'm like, okay, well, you got to win once to have a dynasty. But anyway, no, it looks really cool. I'm really excited to try it out here after we get done. And
and it's
looks
free.
Like it's pretty cool how it syncs. It
free.
Syncs up with your sites.
Yeah, and you can tie your league and your league settings to data across. I think I have over 200,000 leagues like tracked in my database. I have over 1 million trades, almost 100,000 drafts. Over 13 million draft picks. Like there's a lot of data that you can comb through and have more of a data driven approach without being stuck scraping all this data for yourself. So it's a great way to tie a bunch of fantasy data to your league and not get overwhelmed with all the information.
Gotcha. No, that looks super cool. Like I said, now I'm super excited to get into it after. So you're coming to the expo, obviously, your first year. How did you find out about the expo since you haven't been to it before? What intrigued you? What brought you to making this decision to come and show off Dynasty Daddy to the group?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when I first started, I was just kind of making my site to learn. And so as I kind of picked up steam, like I would always stumble upon like fantasy Twitter and like random things like that, but I was never like really ingrained in the community. And so over last summer, I started, getting into, some people started reaching out to me, talking to me because they're fans of the site, or I started watching more content. So then it became kind of like, I was like, oh, I heard about this expo. People kept talking about the expo, and I was like, oh, this sounds really exciting. But then when I found out about it, it was like a month later. I was like, okay, like, do I go to this? And then I was also like getting married last year, so it was like,
there's that.
I was like, okay, I'm like, it might be a lot to do.
Like,
I'm about to spring a surprise trip and be like, we're going to Canton, Ohio. So I was like, okay, I'll probably just plan to go next year, assuming everything goes well with my site and it doesn't disappear. So now I'm here, and I'm like, okay, cool. I have time to plan for it, and I'm excited to be able to go and meet everyone, because I definitely had FOMO last time.
Cool. No, well, that's great. I'm glad you found out about it. Congratulations on your marriage last year. I guess that was kind of more important, at least last year. But I do have some guys who are like, my anniversary's that weekend. I'm like, so bring her along.
Well, yeah, my wife will be there. She'll be helping with the booth.
Okay, well, good. Well, see, that's even better. You've got the perfect marriage, because you're going to bring your wife, and she's excited about coming. Maybe, we don't know. But that's great. Looking forward to meeting you and her face to face. So what can people expect? They come to your booth. You've got your booth all ready to go. Any cool giveaways? Got any thoughts yet, or still kind of in the planning stages for your booth? And what you got planned to kind of make an impact for the weekend?
Yeah, I haven't figured that out completely yet. Fair. I do know.
Early.
This might be a little TMI, but my mother-in-law, she bought like a laser engraver. So she's been like trying to laser engrave a bunch of stuff. So every time I go up there, they have like, oh, like, how about this, like, Dynasty Daddy keychain or something. So like, I'm sure I'll have some merch that will be given away. Sure. And of course I'm going to have QR codes and demos.
Well, all that stuff will go in the swag bag. You'll give me.
Yeah, I'll be making sure that
of whatever you're giving away, and we'll put them in the swag bags, obviously, as every exhibitor gets to do that. So that'll be cool. And then whatever you give away at your booth is kind of extra, is kind of a bonus, but that's cool stuff.
Well, yeah, and we can also do. I have a trivia site as well. So
right, you talked about the trivia thing.
We can have some custom Fantasy Football Expo trivia.
There you go. We can do that.
So, we can talk about that. We
can talk about that later. Yeah, it'll be our little secret. We'll have an expo trivia.
But yeah, I have done custom ones. We did something for Super Bowl Media Week with Chris Long and the Greenlight Pod. So we could do something, have a big Fantasy Football Expo trivia type thing.
Perfect. Could get people excited. Love that idea. Definitely sounds cool. Do you have any questions as the newbie coming in? I always ask the folks, do you have any questions for me as the person that's been doing this, that you kind of forgot to ask or haven't asked or just thought of? And if not, that's fine too.
I mean, I'll start off by saying, I do appreciate, I haven't even been yet, but I know this event from everyone I've talked to is like such a core event of like the fantasy football community and kind of just like what everyone's looking forward to kind of kick off the year. And as someone I still have not collected all my dues in the home leagues that I'm in. Like, I can't imagine all the planning and hurting of everyone to get an event like this to go off. So, kudos to you there. I will say, someone new, there's a lot going on when I like, what's the one thing where it's like, I know I have a booth, but like, what's the one thing you're like, you got to go if this is like your first time? Like, what's the really cool event?
Well, I think the biggest, especially for first timers, is the two parties. So the Friday night party, Saturday night party, because that is that the expos are great, and certainly there's a lot of information to gather, and you've got panel discussions and your booths, and there's a lot of things going on, but it's also a very tense time constraint. Lots of other people, at your booth, trying to get information. The parties are very, very relaxed, right? You get to meet people. Like, I always say, if you got some like favorite guys in the industry you've always wanted to meet, whether it's, Marcus Grant from NFL.com, or Mike Clay from ESPN, Bob Harris from now Fantasy or Football Guys, but Howard Bender or Jeff Manns, any of those kind of people, they'll be there. And so I think that's when you get to make some connections with people, and you can meet people like me too, but you obviously already met me. But there's just a lot of cool people, and everybody's there to help others. I mean, that's what's great about this community. I was in your shoes many, many years ago, and people like Jeff Manns and Howard Bender and Bob Harris were there to, help me along and show me the ropes and guide me. And, 20 years later, here I am, with people like you to say, hey, here's a concept, here's an event that can help you get off the ground with your site. It sounds like you've got a very productive site already, but imagine now meeting all these people, getting involved with them. A lot of great things have happened. I mean, people have gotten jobs at NBC. I mean, Lawrence Jackson is always my favorite person to talk about, because 2 years ago he was driving a van, or he was a delivery driver, and he was doing videos on his phone while he was driving his van and delivery van. And then after that expo, he's been with NBC Sports, and now he's a freaking celebrity. So everything's possible. So that's what's so cool about it. But we're just it's just definitely make those two for sure. Obviously the two expos, the sports betting, and then on Saturday, and then the big one on Sunday, certainly are very important, and you have to be at those. But the parties are really where you just meet a lot of people and hang out and chill. And if you can come in Thursday night, that's even better, because it gives you an extra night to kind of hang at the hotel bar with us that evening, and get more relaxed, that kind of stuff. So that's always my best advice. Make sure you make it to those two for sure, but always lots of other things going on. So if you walk away bored, it's you did it wrong.
I'm sure I'm going to be busy, because I'm a pretty lean crew, and I got a lot of people I want to meet, and
sure.
I've met a lot of people like on Twitter or Reddit or Discord, but being able to talk to everyone in person is going to be just a different level.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully people watch this video, they'll know who you are ahead of time, and they'll point you out. You'll be wearing your Knicks shirt, and I'm just kidding. And they'll be like, "Oh, I remember you. Yeah, you have the Dynasty Daddy. Oh, yeah." Like, I thought that was cool. And so that's what these are about, is so that people kind of know about you before they get there. It helps a lot, because then there's not, you don't have to have all those awkward introductions, right? So people will know you ahead of time, so that'll be great. So that's all the questions I have. Why don't you just one last time tell everybody about where to find the website for Dynasty Daddy, your trivia site, your Twitters, all that kind of happy stuff, and then I'll take us out from there.
Yeah. So Dynasty /daddy.com, or you can just Google Dynasty Daddy. It'll be the first one. We have daily trivia. We have all the fantasy tools you would want: power rankings, season simulators, trade calculator, trade database, whatever you want. I definitely recommend joining the Discord. It's free. We have like 800 something people in there. There's constant Dynasty fantasy football talk, as well as I will post like updates every week about new things I'm adding, new things I got going on. I have a Patreon as well with additional features, and you get special access and things like that. So if that's something that's interesting to you, and obviously there's Twitter and things like that. So I've been trying to do more Twitter, but that's a different world than I'm used to.
Yeah, at least I think it's a good world for fantasy football versus some of the other worlds. But
I will say I feel like fantasy football, like usually I'm like, oh, Twitter, like I want to stay away from it, but fantasy Twitter is one of the more productive communities, I feel like, on Twitter.
Yeah, I think it's because you can put links and you can put articles, you can post things that people can go to, where like Instagram and those kind of things, it's more about the visual. And
Yeah.
I'm an old guy. I'm not a visual guy.
I like Reddit though. I will say, I know.
Yeah, no, Reddit is cool.
But
I didn't do well on Reddit, and maybe if somebody helps me, I kind of went into it with, hey, look, I have this magazine and I have this expo, and they all looked at me as if I'm selling something, and so they got angry with me. And I was like, well, but here's other people talking about these, and it basically come down to, as long as you're not promoting yourself, you're fine. But
the mods are the hard part. The mods are like knowing what the rules are, like, because sometimes I'll post things and be like, oh, you're promoting, and I'm like, well, I made a free tool, and I'm saying like, come check it out. But I do like, once you get the post on there, like the people that do go on it, like they give you like really real feedback and things that, which I do really like.
Yeah, I'm doing like a thing next week. I did finally make contact with somebody, and I'm doing, I don't know if it's necessarily called an AMA, but it's a kind of an all day AMA about. So I'm doing that, I think the 13th or something like that. Anyway, a couple weeks. So yeah, hopefully I can make some connections there and learn how to do that. But anyway, but again, thank you, Jeremy. Thank you again for being a part of this. I'm looking forward to getting this out here for you. Of course, I'm Bob Lung. You can follow me at Bob_Lung. The Fantasy Football Expo Twitter is at the FF Expo. The website is also theffexpo.com, just in case you didn't know. We got a shortened version of it, but it is in full, thefantasyfootballexpo.com. Get your tickets before Saturday. They go up $10 on Saturday, guys. So get them out there. You should have got an email if you're already in the database that says they're going up Saturday. So save $10, get your VIP weekend passes before that goes up. And again, Jeremy, thanks for having us. Obviously, anybody who's watched this, when I click this button, you're going to see all kinds of things of all the Twitter, Facebook, Instagrams, everything that the expo is on. So once again, for Jeremy, I'm Bob Lung. Thank you again, everybody. Have a great day. Take care. God bless. We'll see you soon.